The first perception that I had with Erik was I was very afraid of him. I was so terrified of him because he's scary. Hi guys, I'm Melly and I'm the co-founder of Mole. So today, joining me on Entrepreneurs Are Humans too, his name is Erik Jonsson. Amazing, wonderful friend of mine, my mentor, investor for Mole, also a Shark Tank judge. Hi Erik,
Hello.
how are you feeling today?
Feeling great? Yeah, feeling
Yeah?
really good. How are you feeling?
I am feeling very. Ooh, that's a dragonfly.
Ooh,
Sorry.
distracted, I
I
think.
just had coffee, so it takes me a while to warm up. I'm very happy that you agreed to do this with me,
Yeah.
knowing that your schedule is super busy.
Oh, happy to.
Let's get into the
Let's
questions.
do it.
Does it get lonely being at the top of the corporate food chain? And how do you cope with that? And who's your support system?
I think the loneliest I was ever was when I was a solo founder. I felt like every time I had an issue I wanted to talk to someone with, I had to explain the whole background to someone who wasn't there to see it day to day and give them
Understand.
context. And at that point, you're like, I may as well not start talking about those issues.
Yeah.
So that was hard.
Yeah.
It gets lonely when you kind of have to make hard decisions, and sometimes when you have to make hard decisions with colleagues that are also friends. The way I deal with that, like you have mentors and advisors that you can essentially tap into for both big and small questions. And that can be as easy as just having a coffee together and not talking about something particular, but just sharing small things.
Yeah.
Or saying, I have this big issue I need to kind of talk to you about and get your input on. So yes, that's how I do it. And I think it works great.
Very thankful to have Erik as my mentor. The first perception that I had with Erik was I was very afraid of him. I was so terrified of him because he's scary. Okay, he's just really scary, especially if you go in a boardroom and then you have to pitch. He has like a different tone of voice. He's actually a very nice person, like super down to earth. And I want to thank you, Erik, for creating that safe space for me. Because like I'm a first-time founder. If like you're an entrepreneur, one of the biggest thing that we struggle is always that we don't know how to ask for help.
Once we've started working together, then we're in the same boat, right? So as an investor, I just don't want to hear everything is great, no worries.
Yeah.
I want to hear also the tough parts,
Yeah.
because that's when I can come in and help as well, right?
Yeah, precisely.
So that's why I need to create that safe space for you guys to open up.
Thank you.
There's no magic in my advice. It's just sometimes I just share with Melly, oh, I have had some hard times as a founder as well, and I just tell those stories. And it just kind of gives you context that, hey,
Yeah.
wow, there's other people also that have
Yeah.
tough times they go through, and
Yeah.
then you come out at the other end.
I like to keep things to myself. I don't like to share it with people because it's my journey. I don't want to give that burden. But with Erik and also Antler support, it really makes me change my mind in terms of how to ask for help and to also understand that this journey is not for everyone, but it's whether you want to accept that change to walk forward. And I'm very stubborn. I don't take advice, but for some reason, I listen to him, and so far, so good.
I'm super introverted. I clam
Same.
up. I clam up. I don't talk to anyone. I just go
Yeah.
quiet. So my team knows when I'm quiet, I have something to mull over.
Yeah.
But maybe that's also, I recognize that with you as well.
Oh yeah, introverts reunited.
Yeah, exactly. So then I know how to kind of, open the door a little bit, with a
Yeah.
quick message on WhatsApp or something like that. Is everyone okay?
Yeah.
Because that's all I need as well sometimes.
How do you balance your responsibilities between work and being a father?
It's a balance that is sometimes hard to strike. I try to maintain a certain couple of principles. I always have dinner with her. And then if I have a lot of things to do, then I'll do it after she goes to bed. I'd rather be present there with her for an hour and I'm focused, as opposed to sit next to her for 3 hours and working. I think that's way more valuable. She's been here in the office a few times as well,
Okay.
seeing where daddy works. So that's
That's
good.
nice. That's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to show her around, like what you do in your life at work.
that's right.
Yeah, I think that's so important.
Yeah. I mean, life, we spend so much time with our colleagues and the office and things
Precisely.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to keep completely separate work, home
Yeah.
type life. Sometimes they have to mix a little bit.
Yep, correct.
But I think everyone has their own kind of balance to find there. No, I don't think there's a single source of truth on how to do it. You have to kind of feel it out.
Wow. You just make me want to be a parent next time.
Being a parent is great.
Kids, they're always a blessing. And it's just something about them when especially when you see them and they smile, like all your worries will just like go away, and that's like the best feeling.
That's right.
What's your favorite thing about being a dad?
Before you're a parent, your kind of whole world centers around your own ego, and you optimize for yourself. As soon as you have your child in your arms for the first time,
Yeah.
there's a shift of power. So something else in your life is more important than you, and it's kind of like a realization. I could be sad about things, and I could also be very happy. But when you have a child, that scale just goes from 0 to 10 to negative 100 to plus 100, because you can be
Wow.
super happy about the smallest thing they do, but you can also be extremely sad if they're sick or something has gone wrong. So it's just an augmented scale of life. I love being a parent. I don't think kids are that complicated. They're very innocent and naive, and I love that. And I love that with founders as well. Not naive, but people who have an open mind, right?
Yeah.
So for
Open
in
mind.
Antler, we kind of say yet, as in I don't know that yet. I haven't done that yet. So we have that. We leave that room for growth, and kids are just natural like that.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
those founders that are curious and open-minded and want to explore more are the ones I usually tend to like to work with the most.
So wonderful.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing this. This is amazing. What values do you want to teach your daughter?
It all comes down to kindness. You run into so many people in your life on a daily basis, and you have no idea what kind of struggles they have. Don't assume anything about them. I think the world needs a little bit more kindness.
Right?
Yeah,
What do you think about those leaders who actually lead with a heart and lead with kindness?
yeah.
What's your viewpoint on
I
that?
like that. I like that a lot. You can make that kind of transition as well to founders. So, what kind of founder are you? Are you a founder that is a it's kind of a missionary? You work towards something that is bigger than yourself. You want to create something that helps more people than just yourself.
Yeah.
Or are you kind of like a more mercenary founder that you have seen an arbitrage in the market, you think
Yeah.
you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, and that's why you want to create this business? Both founders can be very successful. I personally like the missionary type founders. They move mountains, and they are in it for a bigger reason than themselves. They understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I like to work with them because they have this evergreen optimism that nothing is too difficult to overcome. We can do it because we know the mission is bigger than ourselves.
You know how like the society they have this stereotype like, oh, to be a CEO or to be a leader you need to be a certain way. You cannot show your weakness through your emotions because that will make you look weak. So what do you think about like leaders who are very open with their vulnerabilities, acknowledging their emotions, their feelings, while still pushing through the boundaries?
I think that's healthy. Everyone is a human, and empathetic leaders pull people along with them in the way that they show they're also human,
Yeah.
as opposed to they know much more than everyone else or whatever. When I did my first e-commerce company here in Vietnam, I was in the warehouse. I was working alongside my workers there, which was a little bit of a shock to them because normally the boss has to have a big office, big chair. To me, it was more like I'm not too big for any job, and if there's a process we're changing in the warehouse, then I need to be there as well and try it out myself. On that note, the most regrets I have in a professional setting is probably when I've been overacting to something that ended up not being a very big deal. Spoken words cannot be taken back. So emotions are great, but you gotta be able to control them a little bit as well.
Of course, I deal with it almost on a daily basis,
Yeah.
so it's still a learning
Yeah.
basis. But I think the most important thing is like whenever we deal with a very heavy emotion and the way how we react, it's a usually anger is something that's really hard to control. But whenever it happens, I think the first thing for me that helped me cope is just to let myself know that it's okay,
Yeah.
and say my sorries. It's okay that if that person don't take my sorries, and I shouldn't react to it,
Yeah.
right? But at least it comes from the heart,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And as a leader, I don't think there's a weakness shown in apologizing. Saying, "Hey, team, I was wrong in this instance. This reaction was wrong on me." You don't lose face. You gain respect, admitting when you're wrong. Everyone can be right 100% of the time.
Thank you, Eric. Like, yeah, this is giving me a lot of light. Jen, what kind of world are you hoping to build for your daughter, who will someday grow up to be a woman?
I usually start asking her open-ended questions, so I understand what she's scared about at the moment, or what makes her proud about herself, and things like that. So,
Wow,
so we have those
that's a good
chats.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, and a small question like that can just open up a lot of things. She's very independent already, so all I can do is try to help her, understand who she is, be confident about who she is, stand up for herself, and also be kind to others. If she has those values, I'll be very confident that she goes out into the world and hopefully it won't get hurt. You give her the tools as opposed to try to be a helicopter parent and protect her from everything bad because you can't. But even if she gets hurt, she knows there's a safety net back home if she needs it.
Does your daughter normally come up to you to share about her, like what makes her sad, things that frustrates her?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, she does. And sometimes, because she's my daughter, so I kind of know her as well. So sometimes I can tell on her face there's something going on. And I give her some space. And then I ask her a few questions around that.
Right?
And then try to lure it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes she comes straight up and says, and she's really sad upset with us something she wants to tell me. So I hope she will always feel that she can open up to me, right? So no judgmental type of reaction from me. I tell her stories as well, and when I've been really sad or upset, and what happened, and how I got through that.
Oh,
Just give
okay.
her, yeah, give her
It's
a
a very
reference.
like adult.
Yeah, she was upset the other day because she ate a seed from watermelon, and she thought it was gonna hurt
Grow
or
a
something.
plan
Yeah, yeah,
on the head.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what
whatever.
I
Yeah.
always tell my mom as well.
I told her I've eaten so many sunflower seeds in my days, and don't
Yeah.
worry, nothing
Yeah.
ever happened. And she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right."
Oh, that's so cute. Does empathy and kindness have a place in building a business?
Absolutely. I think it really absolutely does. We spend so much time with our colleagues, so our respective energy, we feed off each other. When I was running e-commerce ventures, every e-commerce venture I had a big customer service team that helped customers with issues throughout their order journey. They were like our face to our customers in a very big sense. So every Monday morning, I used to just go in and talk to them and ask how was your weekend and kind of spend some time with them to make sure they were in a good mood starting the week. I really believe that transferred down to our customers, that they had more energy dealing with different customers because they started the week in a good way. Same thing with your team. You can kind of tell sometimes when they're a little bit upset about something, you give them a little bit more space. We've even done in our team a little bit survey, so how to work with me.
How to work with me? Really?
Yeah, so we've all kind of noted
Okay.
down if how I want to receive feedback
Okay.
in written form, in one-on-one, in an open setting with the whole team, or stuff like that. So we kind of know everyone how they are, how they like to get feedback, how they like to get praise. I mean, you and I are introverts, so getting public praise, we're like cats,
Yes, that's so
we shy
true.
away from
That's
it.
so true. Like I would run away.
Right. We get so
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, but an extroverted would, they soak it in, they love it.
They
So,
do all the time.
yeah,
Don't understand how.
that's a sign of kind of empathetic EQ, I guess. Every company you build, you kind of have to set that culture tone. Do you want a culture where you just hire A players that are really not good team players, but they are really good at the job, and everyone works in an individual silo? Or do you hire people that maybe don't have that much experience, but are really good team players and help each other and
Yeah.
foster that kind of innovation that happens? It's really up to you as the leader and the founder of a company to decide that. That's also, how you choose to include empathy and kindness in building your business. It comes down to your personality as well. Some people treat a job as a job, but if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're that kind of missionary entrepreneur, that they see it as a mission as opposed to a job. And when you do that, I think that's great. I'd rather work in a company where people care about each other, have a lot of empathy.
So
Yeah.
that's so wonderful, Eric. I mean, because like we're in Asia, and there is definitely that really big power distance in the society. Is it big
Yeah.
power distance? Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
It's the same even in Malaysia as well, Singapore. When you have like the bosses always makes the final say, and they're very commanding. And normally for staff, they always will feel like if let's say they make a mistake, it's always their fault, and they cannot talk about it. I don't like that. I want to change it. We need to like making mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's one way how we get to learn. And I want to know whether like are you also practicing this kind of style? Like let's say we are staff, if they make a mistake, are they afraid to come up to you to tell you like, oh Eric, I make a mistake?
They're encouraged to.
So you encourage them to
I
make.
encourage. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
What are your tips?
Depends on if you run a construction site
Yeah.
where people like the building over there, you have to have rules so people don't fall off the building. And those type of businesses are very rule based. So if you make a mistake, you have a penalty. They do the same thing, then they know exactly what they're doing. If you're building a business and you're doing something for the first time, how can you apply that rule based culture and penalize mistakes? Because without those mistakes, you won't move forward. No one knows what's going to be around the corner because no one has done that before. So then you have to encourage a culture, I believe, where it's okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn and move forward, right?
Correct.
We inch forward to the right direction.
Especially when you're a startup,
Of course.
right? Yeah, it's
Exactly.
so true.
Yeah. So I've worked in organizations where there were more, the handbook on penalties for breaking rules was bigger than the innovation handbook. That means no innovations happening because everyone's scared of making mistakes. So they just really stick within their frames of their JD as opposed to venture out and try new things. You as a founder, sure you like to have staff that says, hey, I spotted something over here. We need to address it. And then you just go and do it.
Yeah, I love it every time when they say that to me. Like
Yeah.
when they point my mistake, I'm like, oops, you know, like,
Yeah.
of course I don't feel great about it, but I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, yeah, you know, we're all the same. We're all in the same boat and let's fix it together.
And
Yeah.
they actively address that as opposed to do only what they're told.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if you're building something new and you're trying new things, then of course mistakes are going to happen. You're going to go wrong. And if your staff are scared of those instances, then it's going to be very hard to grow and develop quickly.
Thank you for this tip. I would also apply it in at my workplace for more. Before we go, an advice for any aspiring entrepreneur, especially for women, is there any advice you can give them?
Absolutely. Just try, honestly. There's so many support systems right now in Southeast Asia for anyone who wants to try to build a company. Even if you were to fail, honestly, you learn so much. Out of the 3 startups I built, 2 were reasonably successful, and the third one failed. I learned more from the failure than I did from the 2 successful ones. It's tough, but you know, taking that leap and then trying it, I think, is the most important. And then you figure the rest out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So that's Erik Jonsson, everyone. Erik,
Thank you,
all the best.
You too.
I hope this year we'll have more luck for you. And God will continue to shine your path for you and your family. More good things to come your way, Erik. And I hope we get to grow together. You as my mentor. I'm just thankful that I get to make this mistake and get you to see these mistakes that I'm making and for reminding me that it's completely normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Likewise. All the
Yes.
best to you and your viewers. Hope everyone has a lot of health, happiness, prosperity, and kindness to each other.
Kindness is the word. Okay, right, bye.
Bye.